Hello, Internet peoples. So, what am I doing? Yeah, today was one of the best days of my life, honestly. Had some fantastic meetings with some fascinating people. So I'm up in New York doing a volunteer workshop, working with a bunch of people who are volunteering their time from all over the world. Some people that are just ridiculously skilled at various kinds of technology, all volunteering their time to work together kind of towards the same cause, volunteering their time, energy, investing in their own equipment, their own travel, all this stuff. It's interesting. So today I met with some. Let's see. The topic was on balance. Somebody said, let's see, just going through my notes here. So it's tempting when you're dealing with challenges in life. Imagine you're driving a car. So I'm just starting at the top of my head. This is not like a well-written talk. I'm just thinking out loud here, just going over my notes. So, it's going to be all over the place. But, imagine you're driving a car and, you can see, oh, well, I'm veering a little bit to the right. You don't go like that because you're going to, crash off the edge of the thing. So, how does that apply to real life? Well, driving is real life, but you know what I mean. So say you're unhappy with your job, unhappy with your marriage, your relationship with your children, unhappy where you're living. You don't just change everything in the moment. You don't get divorced. You don't, cheat on your wife. You don't, abandon your kids or neglect them or switch jobs. You make little corrections, constantly checking the rearview mirror, checking the mirrors to see, that's the equivalent of looking at the past, looking at your own past objectively, really looking at what happened, talking to people, getting other perspectives on what happened, what went wrong from your perspective. You tell me from your perspective what went wrong here. Really, no judgment, just hear what they have to say, if recorded if possible, so you can hear it again with no judgment later. And just, this is a situation that we dealt with. We were both involved in this. Maybe you and your wife, you and your kids. And there was an important event, I didn't make it. How did that make you feel? What happened there? From your perspective, what do you think happened? Why wasn't I there? And really hearing things from their perspective, that's really important, because you want to know not just the facts on the ground, the objective truth of what really happened, but you want to know how it affected people and how people felt about it and what they think happened. But regardless, so that's, checking your mirrors. You want to see where you've been, because knowing where you've been has a great impact on where you're headed next, and how you make those course corrections and adjustments. If you look into the mirror and you see, okay, I left somewhere bad. I see a bunch of carnage in my wake. Clearly I'm doing something wrong. Maybe I should stop driving on the sidewalk. You don't need to go like that to get off the sidewalk, but you do need to, veer a little bit to one side or the other to stop, running over pedestrians. Because if you're driving on the sidewalk, it's your fault. All that carnage behind you, that's your fault. Because you were so distracted by whatever it is you were focused on, you didn't see where you were turning your life. Maybe I use this thing as my steering wheel. Whee! So this had some kind of overly emotional dreamland of blah blah blah. So I had to cross it out because I didn't personally identify with whatever random phrase that was. But the tree's nice. This is like a fuzzy book. Oh man. So I've learned, have you ever watched Doctor Who? So there's these alien critters, people. Sorry, that was extremely specious of me. Sci-fi racist. Dang it, you sci-fi racist. No, these fictional people are gonna be offended. Nah, the Ood are cool. They wouldn't be offended. They understand. Anyway. So the Ood are weird. They have, I don't want to spoil it for you, so I'm not going to tell you their whole deal, but you know, the most obvious thing about them, they've got this ball in their hand. One hand is always full of just a ball with a noodle that runs to themselves. So okay, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen this episode of Doctor Who, don't watch the rest of this video. So anyway, the point of this, they've got this thing. Inside the thing is actually a brain. They've got a brain in their head and a brain on a cord in their hand. And there's more to it, but I'm not going to spoil it for you. You're welcome. Just a nice guy like that. Anyway, so they've got their brain in their hand, so they have to be trusting of everybody, because anybody they come in contact with could, you know, easily just smash, boom, dead. So their whole society is very trusting, very open, very naive, frankly. I don't remember where I was going with this. But, oh, right, so, yeah. So, I've realized that I am like an Ood. Part of my brain is in my head, but if I just sit quietly in a dark room and think, part of my brain just cannot reach out and communicate properly. I need something physical in order to think. The objective personality people would call this sleepless, as far as I understand it. So the sleep function is your two introverted functions. You're organizing known information for the self, either organizing the abstract connections between individual things or organizing the details of the individual specific things for yourself, either for your own reasons that are your identity. You identify with these reasons because of those reasons, or for your own values, for what you care about, your own motivations, for your things and stuff. I don't know, I don't have that one, so it's kind of confusing for me. But for me, I can't, my brain doesn't easily do that. So I need something physical. Sometimes I'll just grab somebody and just talk to them, talk out loud to this person who generally has no clue what I'm talking about, and they're like, uh-huh, and I'm just thinking out loud at them. But I found that this is a good substitute. I can think out loud by writing it down, and I can, you know, switch back and forth between consuming all the details and organizing my thoughts, and keeping it physical is very useful. Now, I like to keep it in paper, which really bothers part of me, because, like, embrace technology. Technology's the best. But also, technology's the worst. Because have you ever been using technology and then it didn't do the thing you wanted it to do and instead did some other thing that distracted, annoyed, and frustrated you? Me too. You know what I do when that happens? I am tempted to take the thing and smash it to pieces. So, in order to protect the poor innocent technology that's just trying its best, it wants to help you. It's just dumb. It's just slow. It can't help it. It's not its fault, so don't blame it. But also, don't rely on it. It's just not reliable. But dead slices of tree? Man, you can't get dumber than that. But you also can't get more reliable than that. Sure, I mean, don't get it wet, but you don't get your phone wet either. And the resolution, oh man, just, you gotta do the manual zoom though, no pinch to zoom. You gotta do full hand, you know, to zoom in. But the resolution's super good. Only problem is there's no undo, you know. I hit Control Z after I did something, nothing happened. It stayed exactly the way that I had written it. Oh well, what are you gonna do? Oh crap. See, when I demonstrated that, I snapped its spine. Thankfully, it's just a book and it didn't really feel that and doesn't care. But otherwise, I would have permanently maimed the thing, and now I would be sad for having inflicted violence upon an inanimate object yet again. But anyway, when I'm thinking out loud at people, grab you by the scruff of the neck and think at you against your will sometimes. But my book don't care. It's a book. I've got this pen. Oh man, I love this pen so much. Let me tell you about the glorious Sharpie pens. It's a Sharpie, but it's a pen, so it don't smell weird. You can just use it and it works like a pen, but it's a Sharpie. And I could think of reasons. I'm sure there are reasons in there for why it's so great, but it just is. Just believe it. I value the physical, man. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh, right, balance. Keeping balance. So, I'm at an interesting crossroads in my life trying to decide, some things that I'm not going to tell you about right now because, TMI. Man, I filled this thing up. I need to just get another one. Right, balance. So, there's the whole adjusting the car thing and checking your rear view mirrors, seeing how you're doing. You also need to be keeping track of where you're going in a number of different ways. Now, think for a minute. I'll give you a second to think. What's the best way to know where you're going and where you've been? Like literally, you're driving a car. What do you look for? So you've got, let's see, you can have a GPS. It's got your little map on there. Everywhere you've been, everywhere you should be going. You can look around. You can check your mirrors to see where you've been. You can check your own memory to see where you think you've been. And you can check with other people in the car or driving past. Hey, where did I just come from? Oh, well, it's too late, bye. Or other people in the car that are riding with you. Typically, children, significant others, pets. Well, they don't really have much of them. They're not very helpful in that, but whatever. And they can help guide you and help, the multitude of counselors. You can kind of triangulate because not all of them are going to be correct. They've got their own opinions of what's going on. Your phone can crash or it can just lie to you and give you nonsense. And your own memory may be faulty. You may, you see things from your own perspective. It's colored by your own emotions and biases out the wazoo, which is your nose. Wazoo is a nose. So, triangulate to know where you've been, where you're going. And let's see, progress. So you don't start and stop the car constantly. You just keep driving. Even if you're driving at like 1-2 miles an hour, keep going forward. Because once you stop the car, once the car is parked, no matter how you turn the wheel, it doesn't do anything. Turning the wheel is only effective if you are making progress. If you're making continual progress. It's an inch at a time. Millimeter at a time. Lol, millimeters. Or whatever. It's also, car analogy. Watch out if you're going too quickly, you're not going to be able to be careful in how you're moving. But sometimes, there's something behind you and you need to move fast. Sometimes you need to make evasive maneuvers. You can be heading in the right direction. All your choices are valid. Everybody agrees that this is the right path. And yet, something can just jump out in front of you and you gotta adjust course real quick. So then, do it. Don't be afraid. Because if you wait, you're gonna bump, hit that thing. And, maybe you take it out. Maybe it takes you out. Or maybe you're both hurt. And, murdering people with your car is bad. Because it is. Death by murder ain't hip. Just say no to murder death. Right, so let's see. Other notes that I took here. Sitting is the new smoking. Okay, I'm not sure how that's relevant. I remember it was at the time. Oh yeah, chaotic progress. So you want to take continual progress, but you want to drive like this, sometimes like this. Sometimes you might need to take evasive maneuver, but if you graph out your wheel choices, it should be pretty flat over the time. But if you mentally graph out your adjustments in life over time, if it's too erratic, then you're driving like this, which is how everybody plays driving car games. The video games where you're just like Crazy Taxi. It's time to make some crazy money. That game. Everybody when they're first starting out, they're like, and then it's upside down, and then that's not how you actually drive a car. You just even if it's time to make some crazy money, you still, you just don't have to turn that hard. It's just not how it works because of reasons. Insert reasons here, lol. Okay. Yeah, so there are certain requirements in life. There's a certain baseline of things you have to do. That you have to. It's your responsibility, nobody else's. Nobody else can do it for you. Nobody else should do it for you. But sometimes other people in your life will try to do that stuff for you. For example, I'm an adult man. If, for example, it is 10:30 a.m. and somebody else is waking me up, I've failed. That's a huge failure on my part. As an adult man, it is my personal responsibility and nobody else's to make sure that I get up at a respectable time. Respectable by whomever you choose to respect. Yourself, your family, your coworkers, your study group, your, whatever. That could be, middle of the night for you. Do what you do. But it's a huge red flag if you are constantly being woken up by other people. That's a good signal to keep track of. Record that however makes sense to you. Let's see. So another very important thing is you need to be very, very cautious of feelings of panic. Because if you're feeling panicky in life, if you're feeling like, you're gonna do like this number, even when you don't have to, which involves, you need to look further out. You can't just look, when I first started learning to drive, I drove like this because I wanted to see what was right in front of the car. I don't want to hit anything, right? And I would drive really slow, and I couldn't see anything out in the distance because I was too busy looking at what was right there. And then somebody said, no, you can't drive like that. If something's right in front of you, you're gonna hit it. There's nothing you can do at that point. You have to be blind to the couple of feet in front of you in order to see further out. There's just no other way to do it unless you're driving like a transparent car, and that would be kind of awesome. That's one of the reasons why I like driving an SUV. You're up. I put my seat a little higher so I can actually see what's right in front of me when I'm going slow and parking and stuff. But, you kind of want to drive more sitting back, looking out in front of you, because you want to see where am I going to be within a decisionable amount of time, right? Your brain can only react so fast, and you don't want to steer like this. So, if you're only steering like this, how far ahead can you really be focused in order to make an adjustment that can, and the same thing's true in life. You need to be thinking, not just today, not just next week. You need to be thinking a little bit further out. But, of course, you can't make adjustments now for things that are up there. Say you see like a tire in the road. If you adjust now, you're going to, run into the guy next to you. Maybe the tire will blow away. Maybe it's just a bag. Maybe it's not a tire. Maybe it's just an ink stain. You don't want to adjust now, but you want to be aware of it. You want to keep checking in. Is that thing still there? Check your mirrors, check your options. Can I make a change? What options do I have? maybe I need to slow down a little bit so I can get into the next lane, which could be something like, maybe I need to learn a new skill. Maybe I need to, make new friends, make more connections so that I have more options in life. You have somewhere you can go when that thing that you've been keeping track of gets to you, And some people just, vision is different. I have to wear glasses. Some people are nearsighted, some people are farsighted. So some people can only really see a little bit out. And those people need a good co-pilot. And then other people can only see off in the distance, and they can't really see what's right in front of them. They need a good co-pilot. You need people in your life that you trust to help you to see what's going on, to help you to not make decisions for you. They're not driving the car. If you hand the wheel off to them, you're gonna have a bad time. But if you focus out on the distance, on the horizon, on where you're supposed to be focused, and they can focus on the thing that you aren't as focused on, they can help give you another signal. They can help say, there's a car coming up here that looks like it's wanting to turn into your lane. You need to be careful, etc. So similar things, you need to have more people in your life. We can't do it alone. We just, whether you believe in evolution or you believe in creation, human beings do not work this way intentionally. We only really work when we have other people around us. So I didn't like the idea of having to rely on other people. But I also believe in truth. Whatever is true, and there's nothing you can do about it. That's the way it is. You can choose to lie to yourself and totally mess up your life, or you can choose to accept reality the way that it is and deal with it. So the reality the way that it is, we need other people in our lives. That's just the way life is. That's how humans work. You need that, that brain in your hand. You need that brain in your hand if you are like me. You need that friend that you trust on, either side. Maybe somebody in the back seat that's checking the back. A multitude of counselors. Maybe, call somebody up on the phone, who's more ahead in life, who's driven this path multiple times, who's dealt with, having kids or having relationship problems or, dealing with health issues or the health issues of close family members or whatever. Getting their advice, seeing how they dealt with it and how they would recommend doing it if I had it to do over again. What mistakes did you make? Don't just pay attention to successes. Like, I drove there and it was fine. There was, there were no problems, lol. But I was also driving, a 10-ton armored car, and you're sitting there in a motorcycle. We all have different cars. We all have different constraints, different privileges, different blessings, different, capabilities, physically, mentally, emotionally, situationally. We might have people depending on us. We might be depending on other people. It's, what you got is what you got. You got to deal with that. You can't just drop all your baggage off on somebody else. That's just not how it works. You're driving. Yeah, I don't know. There's more, but whatever. Okay. Yeah. So, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy was right. Don't panic. You need to be humble and meek. You don't know what's coming up. Nobody does. Really. You don't know what you're going to deal with. So you have to just, accept reality for the way that it is and deal with it. Oh yeah, and you're going to see a lot of people totally screwing up, crashing here and there, and they're going to be trying to crash into you. It's hectic out there. People are living some complicated lives. They're making some terrible choices, and they're going to take you down. So you got to drive defensively. You got to check out your mirrors, see if anybody's coming up behind you, see if there's anybody that looks like they're going to lose their mind and veer into your lane or whatever. People are nuts. So, if there's somebody near you that's driving erratically, stay away from them. Slow down, speed up, change lanes, get away from them. They're going to make you crash. So if you've got somebody that's like addicted to drugs, you can only help so much. If you've got somebody who's making really terrible life choices, I don't know, whatever category, you can only help so much. They have to drive their car. You can't reach over, you can't drive your car and theirs at the same time. It doesn't work like that. You can't tell them what to do. They have to drive their car. If you tell them what to do, they're not going to like you. They're not going to like it. They're going to rebel and, like, you think I have to turn left? Forget that, mess. I'm turning right. Like, people are weird. What are you going to do? So, the people in your car, the people who are closest to you, that you are driving them, you don't have a choice. They're in the car. They can't get out. Like, maybe they would want to get out of your life, but they're stuck. That's, close family members. That's anybody who's depending on you. But people in the cars near you, you might be in a convoy. You might be driving near them temporarily. Maybe they're classmates. Maybe they're, even siblings. But if they're totally driving all over the road, trying to take everybody out, you have to protect yourself. You have to protect those with you. And you have to protect them. Because if they're driving erratically and you're in the lane next to them, they're going to hit you. So you get out of their way. Give them space to go nuts. Don't put them in a padded cell, but, don't get in their way either. I don't know what else we got. Okay. Let's see. Yep, that's about it. Whatever. See you later.